Trustees. We've been in closed session under sections 551.071 and 551.074 of the Texas Open Meetings Act, and no action was taken. Welcome. Everything that we do this evening has been posted in accordance with the requirements of the Texas Open Meetings Act. We also want to thank you sincerely for your continued interest and support of the Waco Public Schools, and we appreciate your being here tonight. And as always, I will remind you that the board's purpose is to set goals, listen to reports of the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and make policy for the district. We are not here to make management decisions or solve problems of individuals, as management is the sole responsibility of the superintendent and her staff. If you have a cell phone or other electronic device with you, if you would turn it off or put it on silent at this time, we'd appreciate it. And at this time, we'd ask that you join us for a moment of silence as we pause for prayer, contemplation, reflection, or meditation. Thank you. Which brings us to item 6, Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. King.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight, we're pleased to have two students from Cedar Ridge Elementary. They will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please welcome Brianna Moreno, a 4th grade student, and Andy Eggers, a 5th grade student. Good little scout, too.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, students. Board members, please join me in front of the dais for tonight's special recognition. We will begin the special recognition portion of our first meeting of the new school year with an introduction of our pledge leaders from Cedar Ridge Elementary School. Brianna Moreno is in the 4th grade and her favorite subject is math. According to her teacher from last year, Ms. Gomez, Brianna is very studious, generous, and passionate about learning new things. When she isn't busy at school, she enjoys ice skating and she wants to be a musician when she grows up. Brianna's mother and father, Irene Castro Torres and father Guillermo Riancon, are with her tonight. Parents, would you please stand up so we may recognize you? Thank you. Thank you for raising a child who is so passionate about learning. Andy Eggers is a 5th grade student who loves reading and is an avid reader, according to his former teacher, Miss Cowan. When he isn't at school, he is involved in Boy Scouts and loves to go camping. He also loves music and playing video games. He is also active in the children's group at his church. When Andy grows up, he wants to become a veterinarian. So we got somebody for you. I would like to also introduce his parents, Diane Eggers and Scott Eggers, who are here tonight. Both of you, please stand, and so we can thank you for sharing your son with us. Board members, before we continue with our special recognitions this evening, we have a couple of surprise special presentations for you. Most of the time during our special recognitions, it is you who are up here recognizing others for their accomplishments. Well, tonight, we're going to turn the table for a moment so that you can be properly recognized for your great accomplishments. I would first like to welcome Texas State Representative Charles Doc Anderson, who is kind enough to be here this evening to bring congratulations to you in the form of a resolution that he has prepared. Representative Anderson?
Thank you. Thank you, Superintendent. My pleasure to be here this evening. My honor, actually, to be here this evening. This is a very special recognition for the activity and y'all's continual tremendous efforts looking out for the school children of this district. And so we have a resolution prepared to recognize that, and I wanted to be here to present it to you. So, and it reads, the state of Texas, whereas the Board of Trustees of the Waco Independent School District have been named the 2016 Region 12 School Board of the Year by the Texas Association of School Administrators. That's a very significant recognition, and we're very pleased with y'all, very proud of y'all. Whereas this prestigious accolade is part of the TASA School Board Awards Program, which honors boards that have demonstrated a commitment to educational improvement projects, school transformation initiatives, while firmly adhering to a code of ethics, which is with its selection of as the Region 12 winner, the Waco Board is now eligible for statewide recognition as one of the 5 Texas honor boards, or as the 2016 Outstanding School Board. With the winners of these accolades to be selected in September at the TASA, Texas Association of School Boards State Convention in Houston. And whereas working closely with parents, teachers, and other members of the community, the Waco Independent School Board of Trustees serves more than 15,000 young Texans. We need to recognize that and let folks know the scope of the job that you all do. The board is made up of President Pat Akins. Raise your hand, Pat. Vice President Alan Sykes, Secretary Norman Manning, and Trustees Carrie Dupuy, Stephanie Ybarra Cordawig, Larry Perez, and Angela Tico, who coordinate with Superintendent Bonnie Kane to create an effective and innovative administration. And whereas through their dedication to pursuing new avenues of learning, the Waco Independent School District trustees are providing students with a rich educational experience that will serve them well in the years ahead. And these exemplary leaders are truly deserving of recognition. Now therefore be it resolved that the trustees of the Waco Independent School District be congratulated on their selection as a Region 12 School Board of the Year by the Texas Association of School Administrators, and that they be extended sincere best wishes for continued success with their important work. Charles Doc Anderson, State Representative, District 56. So it's my honor to present that.
Thank you, Representative Anderson. It's such an honor to have you with us tonight. Thank you. I would now like to welcome Dr. Jerry Mays to the podium for another special presentation. Dr. Mays is the Executive Director for Education Service Center, Region 12. His organization helps 76 school districts leverage their resources to better serve students in 12 counties, including McLennan County. Waco ISD is fortunate to be located in the heart of Region 12 service area. Dr. Mays?
Dr. Kane, thank you very much, and thank you, Waco Board of Trustees. In my contact with schools and service centers around the state and the country, I can tell you that what happens in Waco is truly not typical. You all do an amazing job, the work that you've done to coordinate with other entities in the area and to develop a fine school district along with your superintendent has improves the lives of thousands of students every day. Thank you for doing that. We're at Region 12, your Education Service Center is happy to have had the long-standing relationship with you for all these many years. And on behalf of your colleagues in the other 75 school districts in the region, more than 185,000 students, and thousands of school teachers and educators, we thank you. Thank you for being the example. Thank you for being our Region 12 School Board of the Year for large schools in 2016. President Atkins and board, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mays and Region 12 for this very special presentation and recognition of our board. And now it is my pleasure to report that 15 current or graduated Waco ISD students have been named 2016 Advanced Placement Scholars. Tonight, 5 of those students are here with us. The Advanced Placement Program uses the designation AP Scholar to recognize high school students who have demonstrated college-level achievement in AP courses and on AP exams. A student is named an AP Scholar by scoring a 3 or higher on 3 or more exams. Named as AP Scholars are Brian Lopez, senior at Waco High School, son of Sylvia and Juan Lopez. He was not able to be here tonight. Dylan Rivera, junior at Waco High School, son of Glory and Sabas Rivera. I'd like to also mention the AP Scholars not with us tonight just because of their achievement and the honor they have brought to our schools. Esteban Ramirez, 2016 graduate of University High School. Nicholas Hinkle, 2016 graduate of Waco High School. And Clara Palacio, 2016 graduate of University High School. Now, a student is designated as an AP Scholar with honor by earning an average score of 3.25 on all AP exams taken and earning a score of 3 or higher on 4 or more AP exams. Named as an AP Scholar with honor is Haley Miller, senior at Waco High School, daughter of Paula and Trey Miller. Not in attendance tonight, but also AP Scholars with honor is Jesus Carrera, 2016 graduate of University High School, and Bennett Johnson, 2016 graduate of Waco High School. A student is designated as an AP Scholar with distinction by earning an average of 3.5 on all AP exams taken and earning a score of 3 or higher on 5 or more AP exams. Named as AP Scholars with distinction are Luke Barron, 2016 graduate of Waco High School, son of Lauren and Dale Barron. Not here, but also an AP Scholar with distinction is Sylvia Knatzer, 2016 graduate of Waco High School, son of Julie and Kyle Knatzer. Please join me in giving one more round of applause for these outstanding Waco ISD students. We also have 7 Waco ISD teachers who are deserving of recognition for their advanced placement passing scores. The national average for AP passing is 57.5% of students. 3 Waco ISD teachers surpassed this national passing level. Additionally, 4 teachers had double-digit increases in 1 year. From Tennyson Middle School, with 100% of her middle school students passing the AP Spanish Language and Culture test, Amanda York. From Waco High School, with 100% of her students passing the AP Spanish Language and Culture test, Guadalupe Goodman. From University High School, with 87% of his students passing the AP Spanish Language and Culture test during his first year of teaching. First year of teaching AP, Reyes Lopez. From Waco High School, with 33% of his students passing AP Studio Art, the first passing scores in this subject in at least 7 years, Joel Calissimo. From Waco High School, with a 28% increase in students passing AP Biology, Timothy Adace. With a 21% increase in students passing AP Human Geography, from Waco High School, Christine Williams. Finally, with a 23% increase in students passing AP Human Geography, from University High School, Dan Flegging. And could we have any parents who are here of or of the teachers, of the students or teachers, please stand up so we can thank you for all of your hard work. Waco ISD appreciates our local media representatives for their balanced and accurate approach to sharing our challenges as well as publicizing our successes with the public. Tonight, as a small token of that appreciation, I am pleased to recognize a select group of journalists who, by our request, have been placed on the Texas Association of School Boards Media Honor Roll. This is a statewide program that recognizes our media for their efforts to get to know this administration and school board. These journalists have made an effort to visit our schools and have given a high profile to positive news about Waco ISD and public education in general. Our local media join representatives from more than 420 Texas newspapers, radio, and television stations, and online publications from across the state, also honored by their local school districts. It is also, the city of Waco has made a proclamation that August 2016 is the 2015 Media Honor Roll Day, and so we will have this also on display. I am pleased to introduce the 2015 Texas Association of School Boards Media Honor Roll. Act Locally Waco's Ashley Bean Thornton. ESPN 1660 Local, Butch Henry. Freelance sports broadcaster, Lark Smith. KWBU News, Carlos Morales. KWTX News 10, Rusty Garrett. Mix 101.3 FM, Beth Richards. And not here tonight because he also runs the concession stands at the Waco ISD Stadium is Dustin Drew. So he's at the concession stands. Next, we'd like to recognize the publishers of the Wacoan magazine, Michelle and Robert Johnson. Waco High Radio, Joe Nesbitt. Waco High Radio, Brian Fonville. We also have from Waco High Radio, but not here tonight, Bill and Tom Nesbitt. Also not able to be here is Rod Adelaide from the Waco Tribune Herald, and also Stephanie Butts, formerly with the Waco Tribune Herald. She was not here tonight, but accepting is Cassie Smith. Ms. Smith? Thank you for being here. KXXV News Channel 25, Ann Harder. Ms. Harder has been on WISD TV a lot with our convocation, and who was on the honor roll before we hired him, nominated before we hired him, formerly with KXXV News Channel, our very own Bruce Geetson. In addition to the certificates and umbrellas that they are receiving, the City of Waco issued the proclamation in their honor to commemorate this special occasion. We are fortunate to live in a country that guarantees our freedoms of speech and press, but those freedoms also bear a great responsibility. We applaud our honorees for upholding the ethics of their profession and as truth seekers in our community. Thank you for the vital role you play to enlighten the public. Board members, we have completed our special recognition for the evening. However, we do have one more special item on this portion of the agenda. As you know, each summer we hold a separate commencement ceremony for any students who are not on a traditional graduation plan. However, this year, Waco ISD only has one candidate to present for summer graduation. Because of unusual circumstances, we're presenting him tonight so that you may certify his requirement for graduation. Will President Atkins and Principal Love please join me at the podium? Waco High Senior Samuel Louis Martinez Jr. is fourth in his class, which is the class of 2017. He has spent his entire academic career here at Waco ISD. Like any other student heading into his senior year, he was looking forward to that last year of high school before heading off to college to pursue his dreams. But that was until his dreams came calling a year early. And with some quick thinking on the part of his parents and help from our advanced academics department and Waco High staff, Louis was able to quickly finish up his remaining credits over the summer, meeting all the requirements for an early graduation. As his classmates begin their senior year, Louis, who is still fourth in his class, will be moving overseas to attend college at York St. John University in England on a soccer scholarship. Louis, your teachers at Mountain View Elementary, Tennyson Middle School, Waco High School, and the rest of us at Waco ISD are so very proud of you. We wish you all the best as you embark upon this wonderful journey. Principal Love.
Dr. Kane, as principal of Waco High School, I certified that this student, Samuel Luis Martinez Jr., has met the state and local requirements for graduation and is eligible to receive a diploma or have met the attendance requirement under Senate Bill 673 and is eligible to receive a certificate of attendance.
President Atkins, as superintendent of the Waco Independent School District and based on the recommendation of Principal Love, I certify that this student, Samuel Louis Martinez Jr., has met the requirements set by the state of Texas and the Texas Education Agency and is eligible to receive his high school diploma or certificate of attendance.
You're in my spot. Dr. Kane, on behalf of the Board of Trustees and the communities that we represent, I will accept the administration's recommendation and recognize that a high school diploma be conferred upon Waco High School graduate Samuel Louis Martinez Jr.
Would his parents come forth, please? Grandparents. And grandparents? All family. We want the whole family. Oh, everybody.
It helps. Atkins was one of his Little League coaches.
Ah, okay, so.
Yeah. Pat was one.
Thank you. And Louis, I think the rest of the board would like to congratulate you as well.
Good luck to you.
I want folks to know that when Louis' mom Renee called me originally about doing this and him working through the summer to get his credits earned, I accused him of maybe wanting to do this so he'd be graduating number one in his class, because he'd be the entire graduating class. But in fact, he's done great work. Louis, congratulations. All right. Before we do audience for guests, we do need to have our public hearing on the 16-17 proposed budget and tax rate. Dr. King, did you have something you wanted to announce? Did you say something you wanted to?
No, we closed.
All right, got you. All right, so we will recess the board meeting, and I will convene a public meeting to discuss the 2016-17 budget proposed tax rate. In accordance with Section 44.004 of the Education Code, the district must conduct a public hearing to discuss the 2016-17 budgets and the proposed tax rate. All requirements for budget adoption and the setting of the tax rate will be met with the holding of this hearing. The purpose of the hearing is to allow any taxpayer within the district to present any comments regarding the budget or the proposed tax rate. Notice of today's hearing was published in the newspaper on August 9th. Additionally, both the notice and the proposed budget, as compared to the prior year, have been posted on the district's website since that date. Do you have a presentation at this time? All right, Ms. Davis, go ahead and proceed.
Tonight is the culmination of our budget development process. Under Education Code Section 44002, the superintendent shall prepare or cause to be prepared a budget covering all proposed expenditures of the district for the following fiscal year. Summary of the proposed budget, as Mr. Atkins said, is published on our website under our financial transparency page, and it does compare, it takes the official budget, which consists of the general fund, the food service fund, and the debt service fund, and combines those and compares them to the prior year's actual expenditures. And it is posted at the website address that you can see there. Under the Texas property tax law, under the Texas Constitution, Tax Code, and Education Code, we are required to publish certain information under a Truth-in-laxation and follow certain steps in adopting our tax rates. There are 4 principles to Truth-in-laxation: that property owners have a right to know of the increases in the property's appraised value and be notified of the resulting estimated taxes. The district must publish its proposed tax rate, rollback tax rate, and other specified information about the proposed taxes. A district must publish a budget and proposed tax rate hearing notice and hold a public hearing to provide an opportunity for citizen input, which we're doing tonight. And the district must hold an election to ratify a tax rate adopted above its rollback rate. We are not proposing a rate above our rollback rate, so there will not be a required election. We are at the max we can do anyway. As part of the budget process, we have a lot of meetings that we present information to the board. We started this year in March with a budget update. We kind of wrap up where we ended the 2014-15 school year, and we started talking about early projections for 2015-16 ending position. In May, we first looked at our preliminary attendance and revenue projections for 2016-17 based on our preliminary property values. In July, we looked at the preliminary official budgets and talked about salary increases and other issues that we were addressing in the budget. On July 25th, we received those certified values from the Comptroller's Office. We used those values then to prepare our final revenue projections and finalize our budget. The proposed budget, which must be presented to the Board of Trustees by August 20th, was presented on August 4th. At that point, we proposed a budget and tax rate, and the board set tonight as the date for the public hearing. On August 9th, the notices were published as required by law, and tonight we will have this public hearing, and then we will have an agenda item to adopt the budget and then approve the tax rate, which must be done in that order. As usual, we address a lot of budget priorities throughout this process. First and foremost is instructional support. There are a number of new positions added in this current year's budget, or this coming year's budget. Two of the main areas, or one of the biggest areas we addressed was advanced academics, with an implementation of an elementary gifted and talented program, as well as the expansion of the Atlas program. There was also an expansion of our credit recovery programs and additional teachers at secondary and elementary, as well as some additional curriculum support, special education, and fine arts support. Our second priority is just keeping, attracting, retaining employees. So our priority is a competitive compensation package. We had an increase in our starting teacher pay from $45,000 to $45,500, with a general increase of about 2% to all employee groups. And we increased the minimum wage rates for our auxiliary and paraprofessional staff and significantly increased our health insurance contributions. Other district support areas that were addressed, our communications department. We, again, as part of attracting employees, our human resources support and recruiting was enhanced. We also addressed some grounds and plant maintenance areas, and then continue to support our transportation with bus replacements, among many other things that we address in this budget. Looking at those tax rates now, we will talk a little bit about what we have had published in our notice. The school district tax rate is composed of two parts: our maintenance and operations rate, which basically pays for all operating expenses in the district, such as salaries, utilities, supplies, equipment, and then our INS taxes. And that pays the principal interest on voter-approved bond issues, mostly to construct and improve facilities or purchase major equipment, such as school buses. We have not in recent years purchased school buses with our bond funds. It's been mostly to construct or repair buildings. This is the portion of our debt that is secured by INS taxes. We do have a little bit of debt left in the general fund, but that is not secured by taxes. Looking at this now, this is what we are required to publish. Our total appraised value of all property, Last year was $6.9 billion. It's up to $7.7 billion in the current year. Our total appraised value of new property last year was about $355 million. This year it was down to about $198 million. The total taxable value of all property is last year was $4.3 billion. This year it's up to $4.8 billion. The total taxable value of the new property, and you see a big difference here because our total value of new property was $355 million, but the taxable value was only $128 million last year. Whereas this year, our total new value is $198, but the taxable amount is $180 million. Major difference is McLean Stadium, that lots of value, but it's not taxable as part of Baylor. So that is the biggest difference in those two numbers. Our bonded indebtedness, total amount outstanding and unpaid bonded indebtedness is $166 million. Our truth-in-laxation, again, comparison of our proposed rates with last year's rates. We are proposing the exact same tax rate as we had last year, which is the $1.17 maximum rate for our maintenance and operations, and the same 23 cents for debt service, which is a total of $1.40. One of the things that we are required to publish is the amount of local revenue per student and state revenue per student. Last year, based on last year's rate, was $4,485 in local revenue and $4,970 in state revenue. The rate that we would need, and this is, I had a question about this earlier, and so I did actually look at the calculation from the state, which is about a 2-page calculation on how they do this. Basically, what they do is they take your revenue from last year, and they then utilize current or next year's adjusted basic allotment, which is a different number than what we had last year, and then they divide that out by our weighted average daily attendance, proposed weighted average daily attendance. So in our case, because that weighted average attendance goes down slightly, then their determination is that we need less money in the coming year to have the same program that we had last year. So what they are showing then is that we would, okay, so it's actually going, okay, now I said this backwards. So when they divided it by the WADA and our WADA goes down, the number goes up. Excuse me, I said that backwards. So we had $4,485 last year in local. This year it would require $4,649. Last year we had state revenue of $4,970. This year it would require $5,030. Now, with what we're adopting, we are adopting a higher rate because the rate we would need for maintenance and operations was only $1.11. We're adopting the $1.17 that we have voter approval for. So it gives us a little additional local revenue per student of $4,847, and we are going to receive $4,949 from state revenue. On our comparison of the proposed levy with last year's levy on average residence, our average residence last year was $98,974. This year it's $103,058. Our average taxable value residences last year was $71,896. This year it will be $75,935. Same rate of $1.40. Taxes due on the average residence for last year was $1,006.54. This year will be $1,063.09, which will result in an increase in the average residence of $56.55. Mostly because the rate is the same, that increase is due to the increase in property values. And overall, in Waco ISD, we had about over a 10% increase in our property values for this coming year. This is the calculation of the rollback rate because we are at The components of the rollback rate will be the maximum amount that we can do for the M&O rate, which is the $1.17, and whatever we are proposing for debt service. Now, if we proposed a higher amount for debt service and we're not going to use some of our fund balance, that number would have been higher, but it just takes whatever we're proposing for debt service, which is the 23 cents. On our property tax revenue, the increase in taxes due, I just put this a little, this is not part of truth and taxation. This is just part of truth. Last year, with what we did, the taxes, with the increase in the homestead exemption, even though we went up to the $1.17 on our M&O rate and brought our debt service rate down just slightly, the average taxes went down $44.23. This year they will go up $56.55. So the 2-year net increase on the taxpayer is $12.32. You can see, I had presented this to the board when we did the proposed budget, but I wanted to bring this back because I think with the significant increases that districts, property values across the state, in most areas, you can see that the revenue that's generated locally is increasing, and the revenue that we're receiving from the state because of that increase in local revenue is going down on a percentage basis. 2 years ago, federal revenue stays about the same at 3%, but 2 years ago, 58% of our revenue came from state sources and 39% from local. Last year, 56% from state sources, 41% from local. This coming year, only 53% will come from state sources and 44% of our revenue will come from local sources. As part of the tax ratification election, we did reduce the tax rate in the debt service fund. We do receive more state funding for our M&O enrichment pennies than we do for our INS or our debt pennies. Investing the Waco tax pennies in the M&O enrichment pennies brings more state dollars than investing in debt pennies, so that's why we have reduced that debt rate, and we keep that and are keeping the $1.17 in the M&O rate. The debt rate necessary to pay debt service without impacting our fund balance or doing a transfer from the general fund would have been 25.927 cents for this coming year instead of the 23 cents. So that would have been a 2.927 cent increase. Our INS fund balance is adequate to cover the shortfall for an M&O fund balance. We are going to use some M&O fund balance in the current year to cover the difference in our revenues and expenditures in this past year, and then next year we will probably just use fund balance. We have refunded debt. We've done actually 3 refundings in the last 2 years that has reduced our annual debt service by about $700,000. So that has also helped us in keeping that rate low. Again, taxes frozen on over 65 and disabled homesteads. Just remember that the tax bills on the over 65 or disabled homesteads, and you have to file for the, you have had to file for those in the past. I do believe there may be some, it may be automatic now, but I think anybody that would qualify needs to check with the appraisal district to be sure. But taxes will never increase unless improvements are made to the homestead. But they will not increase with rate or just general property value increases. This is our official budget summary. As I said, our official budget's made up of 3 funds: the general fund, child nutrition fund, debt service fund, and our summary total. We are required by law to adopt fiscal year budgets for these 3 funds. The estimated revenue in the general fund, $136.2 million, appropriations of $139.5 million. So we are projecting the budget before under expenditures would show a appropriations over revenues of about $3.3 million. We have an operating transfer out of $548,000 estimated right now. We have made a correction or have some additional information from TRS, and so we will probably bring that $548,000 down just a bit because we are going to have on behalf payments going into that fund and reduce what we're having to pay into TRS for our Guama and Guaca programs. So the budgeted decrease right now is $3.8 million. Our beginning fund balance is 41.6. That would leave us an ending fund balance of 37.8. You see, we have some non-spendable amounts. That's inventory, the $240,000. It can't be spent for operations. And we have some committed funds here of about $5.3 million. Typically, on tonight's agenda, we actually have an agenda item of estimated committed funds that I just recently did, projecting what we're going to roll forward into next year. And then the assigned funds right now, the $1 million is just an estimate. Any purchase orders that we have outstanding at August 31st that are not received yet, services rendered or goods received as of August 31st, we are required to assign those funds as part of the fund balance because it's not really available for expenditure in the following year. That would leave us with and last year was around $900,000. That would leave us an ending unassigned fund balance of about $31.3 million. Our child nutrition fund, we have revenues and appropriations that equal each other, $9.6 million for each. Our beginning fund balance in that fund is $1.6 million. We have non-spendable fund balance in there. That also is our food service inventory of $174,000 with $1.4 million for restricted. Debt service, again, you'll see that lower debt rate generating $12.7 million, and then appropriations of $14.5 million, which would indicate a decrease in fund balance of $1.8 million. The beginning fund balance there is 4.6. The ending fund balance will be $2.8 million. That fund balance is restricted for debt service. As I said, part of what one of our priorities in adopting the budget is competitive compensation. These budgets do include the cost of a salary increase that were 2% of the midpoint. The total of all funds was about $2 million, just over $2 million, $2,069,000. The total impact on the general fund is $1,029,000. This is our required internet, a summary of our required internet posting. The posting that you'll find on the internet is actually more detailed than this, but this is those three funds combined together. It compares the actual budget from last year on an aggregate and a per pupil basis with the aggregate and per pupil basis for this coming year. Now, this budget, again, is not the original budget that we adopted this past year. It's the budget that was in place as of August 4th when I did the proposed budget, and it does include a rollover of those purchase orders, funds, or the projects that we adopted during the year. So it is higher than the original budget that we adopted last year. That's it.
All right, board members, you'll have an opportunity to ask questions when we get to items 11B and C, but are there any members of the public who want to comment on either the budget or the proposed tax rate? Going once, going twice. All right, hearing none, we will close the public hearing. Thank you, Ms. Davis. And we'll move on to item 9, audience for guests. I've had one sign up, Mr. Cruz Rodriguez.
Again, thank you, school board. I am here again today to present the detachment of my property. And in front of you is the petition that I have requested by the Chapter 13, Subchapter 13 in the Texas Education Code. And I appreciate your time. You guys do amazing things for this district, and I hope you would consider that. And I thank you for your time.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Yes, Dr. King, go ahead.
Sir, thank you for this. If school had not started, I think I would be a little bit further ahead of this. Board members, we have ascertained that you do have a student in school. Great child, great student. We love her. So that was what the requirement you did not have last time. So now I need to ask the board for a hearing. Have you talked to the Robinson board?
The last time I spoke with them was after I had spoken with the Waco ISD lawyer about the requirement of the student, and so I have not talked to them as of yet. Being that you've confirmed all the requirements, I can go ahead and talk.
I have actually, and we're working on the public notice. Okay. We have to have a public notice of our hearing. So what I need to do is, once I get that proper form from the attorney's office, I'll ask President Atkins what board meeting he would like it on, or if he'd like a special board meeting. And the law is not clear if when Robinson has a meeting first, if we have a meeting, so.
Yeah, it's not clear about that.
We'll be going with our attorney's advice, and I will be asking President Atkins for a meeting date that would be agreeable to you. And then we will post it and wait for the proper number of days, and then we will have a board hearing.
Okay.
And then, and you're handling the Robinson stuff?
Yes, I will.
Okay?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir. All right, we'll move on to item 10, the consent agenda. I don't believe I've been asked to pull anything. Is that correct? All right, then I will entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented. Thank you, Mr. Dupuy. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Manning. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, consent agenda is adopted. And we'll now move on to item 11. It's my understanding, considering hiring of administrators has been pulled, correct?
Correct.
All right. So we will move on to item 11B, the adoption of the proposed budget, which Ms. Davis presented just a few minutes ago. Are there any questions, comments from the board?
I just got a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Manning.
On this required internet posting, that, is that what it costs for us to educate this 11,025? Is that what it costs to educate one child in the ISD? Is that what that's telling me?
Well, that's just of those three funds. That's just including our general fund, our food service fund, and our debt service fund. There are actually a lot other funds in the district, grant funds, Title I, our IDEA, but those are not included in that because they are actually considered approved by an outside agency. So this is strictly our basic operations of our general fund, food service, and debt service fund.
And like I say, but that what it costs to educate one
Yes.
student?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
But it's actually significantly higher than that when you add all those others in.
Okay.
Other questions? Cheryl, I have, I guess, more of a comment than a question. And I think I've been on the board since 2002, and I can't recall ever adopting an initial budget that had us going into fund balance $5.6 million right off the bat. And obviously 1.8 of that is the debt service, and I understand those discussions, and the other 3.8 does cause me a little bit of concern moving forward. I think we have a healthy fund balance right now, and I understand that. But going into that fund balance for recurring operating expense, $4 million a year is not sustainable moving forward, and I know you know that. And so I think as we look towards a process next year, to the extent, our expenditures last year in the initial adopted budget were about $133 million. So we've raised that $6 million from last year. And that's a considerable increase in expenditures in 1 year. And to the extent we are overspending our revenues by $3.8 million, I think looking ahead towards next year, we may want to consider a process where more of those requests are brought to the board formally and more discussion take place in the context of a board meeting instead of putting all that on you and on folks in the administration. And I think that may be a better process. So if we have to go into fund balance, at least then we'll be able to explain exactly where all those dollars are going. And that's just a thought moving forward. And again, I'm not critical of anything you've done, and I know I know the requests were much more than that. And I know we've got the fund balance this year to where it's not a big hit, but I just know looking into the foreseeable future, that's just not a sustainable model, and that's just something we need to keep in mind, so.
Well, you know, I've had a very difficult summer with this to a large extent, because, you know, this is new for me too. I mean, we have basically, the only other year we really adopted, since I've been here, a budget that was over, where the expenditures were over the revenues, was the year that the state cut funding, and it was about $1.9 million, I think, that year.
Yeah, because you'd already found about $2 million in savings before we got to that point, and then we had to dip in.
And I will say, yes, we had. And I will say that we traditionally underspend our budget, depending on the year and depending on whether we've sold property or something. It's been as much as $4.5 million. Typically, it's more around the $3 million range, between $3 and $4 million. So I have taken a lot of salary savings and benefit savings that has added to that bottom line in the last few years. I sort of took them out as well in order to help fund this budget. So I would.
But even with those, taking that out, the anticipated underspending of salaries, we're still going into fund balance.
I expect that we will go into fund balance this year. I don't think our savings will be such that they will offset $3.5 million.
And let me say this. I have no doubt every penny in this budget is worthwhile, and I'm not questioning the expenditure on the young people in this community. But I do think we need to, if we're going to add additional programming or additional staffing, we need to look at, are there other programming or positions that need to be eliminated to offset that so that we continue to stay within our means. And that's a topic for another year and another time, because again, we've got money in the bank and we can absorb this year. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, and as you say, this is everything you've presented in the past, but I just want the board to be cognizant that maybe next year we need to have more open meetings and have some of these discussions so everybody's aware of exactly what's going on. Anyway, other questions or comments?
Is my mic still working?
Ms. Sykes?
President Atkins, I just want to, echo your thoughts. The budget is presented that we're getting ready to adopt, as well as the tax rate, is derived from an extensive amount of work by your staff and yourself and the administration, as well as at the campus level and downtown. And I think there's a tremendous amount of confidence and expectation that we do everything we can to stay ahead of the curve from a salary and compensation standpoint. Health insurance always becomes a concern. Salaries and compensation always become a concern. So I think, President Atkins, you're right on target. We do need to set the stage for discussions down the road that will enable us to continue to, avoid situations like this in the future. Funding is always an issue. Funding is always pressured, and our priorities are great. So I certainly appreciate you bringing it forward and looking forward to working with the administration and staff, and Cheryl and your staff to find ways to trim where we can, and then promote those priorities where we can as well. And I'm saying compensation and instructional type activities as well as programming. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sykes. Other questions or comments? Mr. Pettis.
Cheryl, what's our biggest cost? What's our biggest cost? Is it salaries or?
Salaries.
Yeah.
And it's probably a bigger percentage than it's ever been, frankly, in our, because most of what we have increased with the TRE went into salaries. So and with this benefit increase and all, it's a huge percentage of the budget.
Is it because we're hiring more teachers, or is this?
Well, with the TRE, we really hired fewer teachers and more instructional aides in the classroom, but a lot of the increase in this year's budget, well, most of the increase in this year's budget is actually teachers. And, we don't want to lose sight of the fact that part of this large increase in the current year's budget is money going into the TIF.
Right.
So that we had really no control over that increase. We get the revenue, that's part of the increase in revenue, but it's not.
Right, I mean, so, just so folks understand, the value, the increase in tax attributable to an increase in value of the properties in the TIF zone goes back into the TIF, but because of the date when this particular TIF started, we get those dollars back from the state, over 95% of it back from the state.
Right.
And you're right, that does account for some of those expenditures in terms of, it's still a significant increase, and we're still over the revenues more than we have historically. And just something to be mindful of, and I think moving into the school year, folks need to be mindful of expenditures and the fact that we are currently over budget. Other questions or comments? Mr. Dupuy, you okay down there? All right, good. I saw that. All right. There's no
Understandable.
particular language for the adoption of the budget, correct?
No.
All right. If there are no other questions or comments, then I will entertain a motion to adopt the budget as presented. Thank you, Mr. Pettis. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Sykes. Questions, comments, discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, the budget is adopted unanimously, and now we'll move on to the resolution adopting the tax rate for the 2016 tax year. Cheryl?
I did put there were so many 2015s and 16s in this agenda item. I missed Mr. Sykes this morning pointed out one of my 2015 should have been a 2016, so I put a new sheet in your packets tonight. But yes, in this case, there is very specific language that must be used in adopting the tax rate.
And that is printed in red on page 95, and someone who likes to read, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. President,
Mr. Sykes, I knew it would be you.
I'm going to try to focus on this area. Let me see. Mr. President, I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 1.40, which is effectively a 7.08% increase in the tax rate. This tax rate will raise more taxes for maintenance and operations than last year's rate. The tax rate will effectively be raised by 3.51% and will raise taxes for maintenance and operations on a $100,000 home by approximately $0.
Thank you, Mr. Sykes. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Dupuy. Any other questions, comments, or discussion?
And this is
Pull the
truth
mic
in
towards you,
taxation.
Elizabeth.
This is truth in taxation.
We don't really have any options there. Okay. I'm going to listen to Sykes on it was making sense, but I'm
just
reading this and it doesn't make sense.
The rate we're adopting, the $1.40, and I know we talk about this every year, it's the same rate that we adopted last year.
Right.
However, because of increase in the values over which we have no control,
Your appraisal's good.
right, so we have to make the motion that we are increasing taxes even though our rate's staying.
And because our WADA is down some,
But the effective rate,
it's saying we're making more money.
It is actually a little
the
more,
first paragraph says effectively a 7.08% increase, and then in the second paragraph says the tax rate will effectively be raised by 3.51%.
yep,
A little less than half
And these are
of
not
what
my-
it says in the first paragraph.
These are not my
And
calculations.
then we,
This is the
and then we
tax
finish
office.
by saying it changes your tax on your home zero.
Correct.
All right, you're sure we're legal? I'm for it.
This is the language that I was given by the tax office that we must adopt the rate.
all right, any
And
other
they were
questions?
established in the interest of providing clarity to the
Yeah.
voters.
Transparency and clarity are two different things.
Any other questions or comments? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously. And I guess we should also point out, as we did last month, or at the workshop, even though our local revenues go up over $5 million, because our values have gone up, our revenue from the state's going to go down $4 million. So we net about 1.1, 1.2.
And we are going into a new legislative session, so we will have new formulas for next year. I am not very encouraged that we will see new money, especially because the rich districts have a big, huge funding cliff that the legislature is going to be dealing with. So I don't think we're going to be the top priority, but.
But if they keep increasing values at the appraisal district, we're going to be a rich district. So that'll be,
Yeah, we could be.
we'll be real close. There you go. All right, thank you, Ms. Davis. Yeah. Sorry, Mr. Sykes. All right, item 11D, gifts and grants, Dr. Kane.
Yes, sir. There are no gifts greater than $2,000 for board approval, but there was an increase of $1,792 in total cash items and services recorded for August. In the area of grants, G.W. Carver Middle School received a grant from the Texas Education Agency for the 21st Century Texas ACE after-school programming. The $256,377 grant award can be renewed annually for up to 3 years. Programming offers high-quality after-school care activities aligned with the school day and a broad array of parental involvement, family engagement opportunities. So I am recommending that the board recommends acceptance of these grants to Waco ISD, $256,377.
Thank you, Dr. Kane.
Mr. President, I move that we accept the grants as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Sykes. Is there a second? Thank you, Mr. Manning.
And I have a comment I'd like to make.
All right, Ms. Tico.
I'd like for everyone to note Ashley Thornton's gift to the Education Foundation in the amount of $1,492. We recognized Ashley earlier in the meeting as Act Locally Waco, and it looks like she donated to our Education Foundation the balance of her city council campaign account. I wish I'd known that when I saw her earlier. I would have thanked her personally, but I think that's really generous of her to do, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Tico. All right, any other questions or comments? Then all those in favor of accepting the grant as presented, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Reports and discussion, Prosper Waco update. Dr. Polk, I think you're up.
This is our semi-quarterly report.
Good evening. That's always enjoy a hearty tax rate and budget discussion. So
Picked a good night. Thank you for.
appreciate the opportunity to be here for that. Well, yeah, I'll leave that to you to decide if the district's prospering sufficiently. But I've not been in the habit of providing you a written report of Prosper Waco related activities, but I thought it would help you all to do so. This is certainly not an extensive or exhaustive report of all things Prosper Waco related. In fact, this is kind of a summary of things related specifically to our education goals, but we wanted to emphasize a few of the specific collaborative efforts that are going on in the community and to tie those back to the specific data that we are using to track those efforts. I will say off the bat that you're all invited, certainly warmly, to the September 19th Prosper Waco Summit that is designed to bring the community together to not only remind ourselves what the initiative is about, but to celebrate collaborative successes in the community over the last year and a half, and to continue the dialogue about what are the high priority items and high priority issues in the community, and how we can bring to bear all the resources in the community, not just the school districts and the cities, but the business communities and the nonprofit communities and resources as well. So you and the folks you represent in your various parts of the district are certainly invited to attend that event. It's a free registration. It's an evening event for those who work. Dinner's provided. Folks can register either on the Prosper Waco website or by calling our office. So,
We're already registered.
what's that?
We're already registered.
Oh, I know you all. Yeah, but certainly invite others. So I just want to highlight a few things, and certainly you're welcome to look through this and ask questions. I won't certainly read it to you, but as you all know, the two primary emphases within the education pillar of the Prosper Waco Initiative are school readiness and post-secondary completion. So bringing the community together to help make sure that children are prepared to succeed when they walk through your school doors, and then supporting your graduates like the one we saw tonight as they pursue a college certificate or workforce certificate or college degree. So several of the things related to school readiness are starting to build momentum in the community. We are actively working with not only Dr. Conrad, but our local child care providers, our Head Start providers, and our early childhood programs to track the success of the various programs that children are attending before they reach the school district, as well as the school district's pre-K program, to see how kids are entering the district ready to go in terms of especially math and verbal skills, and then how they are developing over their first couple of years in the district. There's some data there on the second page that's pretty interesting from the school entry assessment from the beginning of this year, which indicates that kids in our community are about twice as likely to enter pre-K proficient or prepared in math than they are in language skills, including letter naming and vocabulary. The good news on that is that when you look at the growth of students over the course of the year in the district's pre-K program, there is significant growth in those language-based skills. In some cases, at some campuses, 200% growth in terms of their performance at the beginning of the year and the end of the year in terms of the number of questions they're getting right. So that's some of the interesting data that we're seeing, that we're then able to walk back into the community and look at what programs are serving kids in various parts of the community, what are they focusing on, help bring best practices to them to focus on those areas, especially vocabulary, which shows that students in our community tend to be less proficient on as they enter the school district. And there are a number of kind of related efforts to that end. So you may have seen the article in the Trib on Monday, in which the Junior League is partnering with the Family Health Center to underwrite an early literacy program, evidence-based program called Reach Out and Read that utilizes physicians and nurses in the healthcare setting to engage with parents, grandparents, caregivers of young children as they come through the healthcare system, to emphasize the importance of literacy, to provide reading material, books for kids, and to more or less prescribe reading with kids, which we know increases their vocabulary, increases their early literacy, and helps them to read. So those are some of the things that partners in our community are coming together, coming to the table to say, we want to help solve this problem. And there's no silver bullet, but the more folks we have targeting this, the better. The Rotary Club has recently provided a grant of several $1,000s to the library to provide early literacy materials that can be checked out by parents and families to help read with their kids and do various activities that help their kids learn. The library additionally is rolling out an early reading program for families and kids with the goal of reading 1,000 books before they start in the school district. So again, these are the kinds of things where it takes a multi-pronged approach, but we have more and more partners, more and more entities in the community saying, we want to focus on these very important issues that are going to help our kids be successful and help the school district be successful as well. Related to what the library is doing, those of you who are at the last intergovernmental meeting with the city heard John Williams, who's our still relatively new Parks and Rec director, talk about how he wanted to use the Parks and Rec's after-school program to align with what is being taught in schools in the district. So similar to the 21st Century Grant Program, the city's coming, stepping up and saying, well, we serve kids from the district and after-school programs through the Parks and Rec Department. We want to make sure what we're doing is contributing to the academic success of those kids. So I just use those examples to show that this collective impact approach, this idea that we all can be part of the solution from whatever angle we're coming at it, is really starting to build momentum among folks in the community. There's some interesting information in there. We partnered, I think I've told you before, with the Bezos Foundation. Jeff Bezos is the founder of Amazon. His foundation is very focused on early childhood development. We partnered with them to help make available a free app, free parenting tool in the community that helps, again, parents, grandparents, families work with their kids to get them ready for school. And they're providing us data on how many people are downloading that app and using that app and how long they're using that app and so forth. And the numbers are still small through the second quarter, which will be through June, but we're benchmarking our performance against the performance of other communities in Texas. So in just a couple of months of rolling this out and engaging with the community, we've reached about half as many folks in our community on a percentage basis as Dallas-Fort Worth has in a year of promoting this campaign and promoting this tool in partnership with the Bezos Foundation. So our community's moving faster than similar or other communities in Texas. So those are some of the interesting things that are going on. Yep.
On that Vroom app, if there's anything we can do to help get word to the parents and make them aware of that, again, let Dr. Conrad or Dr. Kane's staff know, and we're happy to communicate, particularly those pre-K parents, that's available.
Absolutely. On the college and career side, I don't want to take too much more of your time. We have Dr. Kane participated in a first-year report on the Project Link program to the Rappaport board. Very positive trends there in terms of the data for the cohort at University High School. Of those 87 seniors, according to our data, 100% completed the FAFSA financial aid form, 100% completed a college application through Apply Texas, 100% completed the MAC grant financial aid application through the Waco Foundation, and 86% completed at least one other grant or scholarship funding opportunity. Among those 87 seniors, all 87 chose and committed to at least one or a post-secondary institution, MCC, TSTC, or another 2 or 4 year college. And of course, the Project Link staff are hard at work this summer making sure that they follow through on that commitment and that they receive all the support they can get to go ahead and enroll in college and get enrolled in their classes and get started and have the funding they need. So we'll see how that plays out, but it's a very positive trend. If you look on the report on page 3, you'll see that at University High School, 50% of the seniors as of, I think, July 1st had completed that FAFSA financial aid application. So folks who are focused on helping more kids complete college know that that's a big hurdle. It's a hard application to fill out. You got to have your parents' tax information. It's complicated. The more kids you can get to fill out that financial aid application, the more kids have money to go to college. And so Waco ISD's right just under the rate for Texas and quite a bit under the rate for Region 12 and getting kids to fill that out. But University High School is actually over the rate that the Texas average and the Region 12 average. We'd like to think that that's related to the Project Link program at University High and the emphasis that as a community we're putting on helping kids not only graduate from high school but move on to college and have the resources they need to complete college. And then the other piece, the other big barrier that we've identified in partnership with the district over the last year through Project Link is success on the TSI college readiness assessment. Which is, if a student's going to enroll at MCC or TSTC, they're going to be given that assessment if they haven't taken the SAT or ACT to see whether they need developmental or remedial courses or whether they can jump on into their degree program. And the more ready they are to jump on into that degree program, the more successful they're going to be. And so we've been working with district staff and the advanced academics folks, and Scott and his folks have been really great in terms of looking at, well, what can the district do to make sure that more students in high school are showing success or having success on that TSI exam, so that when they graduate high school, they're also set up to move directly into to college level courses and get that degree. So those are some of the things we're looking at. Again, I'd encourage you to join us on the 19th. We'll talk about some of the things going on in health and financial security. We have about a $600,000 grant pending with the Episcopal Health Foundation to underwrite or help underwrite a pretty innovative collaborative project between the Family Health Center, the Public Health District, and our hospitals to provide additional access to care, support for low-income patients, both at the Family Health Center as well as in the community through a community health worker program. There's a strong potential for that grant coming through. So there are things in the community, again, where we're leveraging this Prosper Waco approach, this collective impact approach, and we're seeing resources flow to some of these identified areas of need. Related to Project Link and post-secondary success, we will be visiting with TG Philanthropy in Austin, which is considering about $150,000 grant to supplement that program and help reach more students in Waco ISD through Waco High School. So again, we're seeing more interest in our community in terms of supporting these collaborative efforts and really targeting these Prosper Waco related issues in our community, which is exciting. The last thing I'll mention is we've hired a great director of community engagement, Liz Lagawa, who some of you met at the intergovernmental meeting, couldn't be here tonight. She's out in the community meeting with folks all across the community, longtime Wacoan, spent the last year of her Master's of Social Work degree at Baylor working with small business owners in East Waco. Really great. She's already engaged with folks in the district who are working with the not conscious discipline, the restorative discipline program to see how she can help tell the district the story of the good things the district is doing and help parents understand what the district is trying to do to help their kids be successful. So trying to be that bridge between the district and the community, much in the way that Dr. Pearson was several years ago as this Prosper Waco effort got rolling. So that's another update we have. Any questions?
Questions?
I got a question.
Mr. Manning.
Okay, Dr. Pope, in
Yes, sir.
this area of interest of school readiness, having kids ready to enter school and prepared to learn, do you guys help with, this is an issue that kind of came up this year, do you guys help with the parents and with the kids getting pre-registered for schools? Do y'all do anything in that area?
We haven't, but we certainly can. I mean, we are at the disposal of the district. We are there to partner with the district and to bring other partners to the table. So that's not something we've worked with the district on specifically in terms of like a pre-K roundup or kindergarten roundup is kind of what you're thinking. But I think that's something that Liz, our new director of community engagement, could be very effective in helping with as we go.
I can be a little bit more specific behind that. Because of the, we had an unusual number of late registrations at J.H. Hines specifically.
Okay.
But Dr. Kane and I kind of briefly spoke about this. But I'm thinking as I was reviewing what was going on, I think one of the issues that hindered parents this year, that the East Waco Library has been closed.
Right.
And they didn't have access to computers to go in. But if you guys but we're gonna need a lot more of attention to this detail because of the fact that I think Ms. Williams can attest to this. I think Hines had the largest number of late registrations so far out of all the schools.
Okay.
But
At the elementary.
At the elementary level. And like I said, we're trying to figure out what's the root cause of that. But like I say, one of them is East Waco Library has not been open for 6 or 7 months now. But it's an issue that we want to discuss further and see what we can do to help the parents get these kids enrolled coming up in the next year.
Okay, and that's great. That's exactly the kind of thing that we would love to partner however we can in terms of the community development piece of what we're doing. I'd love for Liz to reach out, and I'll have her reach out and maybe sit down with you and see what we can be
Ms.
doing.
Manning, one thing I was thinking of, because remember when we had the pre-K sign-up problem, we asked the pastors in East Waco, and all of a sudden we had pre-K kids registering everywhere? I thought we may partner with them again, and if we could just have people at the churches helping them register, because then they can do it online.
Right.
So, but I would love for Liz and Prosper Waco to be a part of that too, but I think, again, every time we call out to that community, they're there.
Yeah, and I was thinking about the same thing, and like I say, but I still think one of our biggest issues was the East Waco Library being
We will
closed.
get that open too.
And if we get that open, then we get working with Prosper Waco, and of course, the church is gonna be part of
But
it.
the church, that's also gonna help Carver.
Right.
It's gonna help, so, yeah, I think that, they spoiled me with the pre-K efforts.
Right.
Well, we only want to do things in coordination and in support of the district. We don't want to be working at cross
that's-
purposes, so
I appreciate
we'll
that
gladly
effort,
help.
because you always double and triple check on that.
Other questions or comments? Thanks, Matthew. Announcements, Dr. King?
Actually, Mr. Geetson, you weren't here when, yeah, he had a debut when Mr. Sykes was manning the podium, and so Mr. Sykes has changed the operating procedures for the district in that one evening, so, well, and after Mr. Geetson started, there was a unanimous vote that he was better than the person who was doing the announcement. And I voted too.
Good evening, trustees. Had a little bit going on this week in the Waco ISD, the start of school, and people say there's only two sports in Texas, spring football and, of course, football. So we are starting the football season. Started tonight with the first game of the Derrick Johnson Kickoff Classic with Marlin and Blooming Grove playing. They are doing so right now. And then, of course, tomorrow night, Waco High hosts San Antonio Roosevelt at 7:30, kicking off the Lions season. And then Saturday, University's Trojans battle Austin LBJ. That game at 7 o'clock instead of 7:30. So both our high schools are opening their season this weekend. Bands from both schools will also be in action for those games. And at halftime of Friday night's contest, we will celebrate the 17th anniversary of the opening of Waco ISD Stadium. And to mark that occasion, we'll honor two former administrators and the school board responsible for the stadium's construction back in 2000. And University opens this season with 4 straight home games, and then Waco High plays 4 of their first 5 games at home. So, and a reminder, it doesn't affect any of you up there, but fans 60 or over can get into games free by registering at the Waco ISD Athletic Complex and getting one of our senior cards, and they can get into games and also for fine arts performances. So come on out and enjoy gridiron action. And speaking of fine arts, Little Mermaid auditions for Waco High's Fine Arts Department are Saturday from 2 to 5 o'clock. This year under the direction of Kaylin Childress, Carrie Forehand, and Corey Garrett, students will be performing that classic, The Little Mermaid. They've got some big plans for the set for this performance. Auditions are Saturday from 2 to 5 at Waco High's auditorium. University High's junior ROTC program celebrating 15 years as a unit, so congratulations to them. The Lion Hub School Store opens September 1st, profits going to Waco High Skills USA. And of course on Labor Day we are closed, administration building and campuses. And on the academic side, the Advanced Academic Services Department, in cooperation with our high schools, the Waco Foundation, Student Outreach, and Project Link, will host a series of student-parent workshops to increase student success and set them on a trajectory for a 4-year degree. Now, the first one of those workshops is Tuesday, September 13th at 6:15 to 7:15, just an hour, at University High's auditorium. They'll discuss homework planning, student-parent contracts, and things. Then the next one's the following day, September 14th, at the Heart of Texas Goodwill Center. That one will help students get started on their college applications and develop strategies for picking the college best for them. So a couple of good starts on that, and you can check the Advanced Academics website for future dates and topics through the fall. A couple more things. September 17th, University High in Guama will compete in the robotics workshop, open to the public, and the new engineering academy at Waco High will take part as well, preparing for next year. And we've got some good dual credit numbers to talk about. Last year we had 199 students enroll in 496 dual credit courses between last June and this past May. Well, just since this past June, we've had 444 students enroll in dual credit. 985 dual credit courses. So that's more than double the enrollment, and it's nearly a 100% increase in course credits. So some fantastic numbers there on the dual credit, people taking care of the program you helped put in place, and that's phenomenal growth. A couple last things. Waco ISD, one of the sponsors of the Heart of Texas College Night, providing high schoolers and their families information on making best choices for going to college. That's Monday, September 26th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Waco Convention Center. That is a free event if you've got a kid getting ready for college. And then, Waco High School's choir has always done a great job. They have their annual talent show. That's going to be a fun event, and that is September 26th from 7 to 9 p.m. A lot of good things going on in Waco School District. Happy to tell you about them, and hope to see you at the football game. Everybody, football games this weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. And I will tell you that Little Mermaid thing, they're auditioning this weekend. The show opens in November, and that gives those kids 2 months to learn how to sing underwater. Sorry. Any other announcements? All right. We ready to wrap this thing up? And then hearing no objection, we'll stand adjourned.